It was almost midnight when I finally got out of my friend's place in the outskirts of the city. The streets were unusually quiet, the kind of silence that presses against your skin. I opened my ride app, but no car seemed available nearby. After a few tries, an old taxi appeared on the map. No reviews, no picture of the driver, just a faded car icon. Desperate to get home, I booked it without a second thought. Within minutes, the taxi pulled up. It looked ancient, faded yellow paint, cracked windows, and the soft hum of the engine that didn't sound too healthy. The driver didn't say a word, just nodded when I told him my address. I got in, and the door creaked as it closed behind me. I remember glancing at the rearview mirror. He had his eyes on the road, but something about his stillness made my spine crawl. No music, no GPS voice, just the sound of tires rolling over the empty road. The city lights faded fast as we drove deeper into darker, unfamiliar streets. I told myself it was just a shortcut, but a cold sense of unease had already settled in my chest. Something didn't feel right. I tried to distract myself by checking my phone, but the signal was suddenly gone. No bars, no Wi-Fi. Just a blank screen with the time frozen at 12:04 a.m. That was odd. I looked out the window and realized we weren't on the usual main road anymore. Instead, we were gliding through some narrow, almost deserted lanes I didn't recognize. No street signs, no other cars, no people, just thick trees on both sides bending slightly over the road like they were trying to hide something. "Are we taking a shortcut?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The driver didn't respond. He didn't even acknowledge me, just kept staring ahead, both hands gripping the wheel tightly. His knuckles looked unnaturally pale under the faint dashboard light. I leaned forward slightly, trying to get a better look at his face. From the side, he seemed oddly stiff, like he hadn't blinked in a while. "Excuse me?" I tried again, louder this time. Still nothing. Then I noticed the rearview mirror. His eyes weren't looking at the road. They were fixed on me. Unblinking. I felt my stomach twist. My heartbeat grew louder than the hum of the engine. I looked away quickly, pretending I hadn't noticed, but inside, I was screaming. Trying not to panic, I checked the app again. The map was stuck. We weren't even moving on it, like the car had vanished off the grid. I tried calling someone, anyone, but the screen stayed frozen. Then it started. The whispering. At first I thought it was the wind, just faint murmurs coming through the old vents, but then I realized it was coming from inside the car. From the front seat, the driver was whispering something under his breath. Repetitive, rhythmic, like a chant. I leaned slightly forward again, trying to hear, but the words made no sense. It was language I didn't recognize, but the tone was sharp, angry even. "Hey, can you stop the car?" I asked louder now. Still no answer. I pressed the unlock button on the door. Nothing happened. I tried the handle. It wouldn't budge. The lock was stuck like it had rusted into place. Panic started tightening in my chest. I turned to look at the driver again, and that's when I noticed it. There was no reflection of him in the rearview mirror. I froze. The mirror showed the empty front seat. But he was right there, driving. My hands started shaking. I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes, looked again. Still nothing in the mirror. My breath quickened. I knew I had to get out. I didn't care where we were anymore. I just wanted to get away from this man, this thing, driving me deeper into darkness. "Let me out!" I shouted, banging on the window. The car didn't stop. It didn't even slow down. Instead, he started humming. Low, tuneless, and terrifyingly calm. The kind of sound you'd hear in a nightmare, but forget by morning. Except I wasn't dreaming. We passed by an old, broken-down gas station. I could barely read the faded sign, but it was the first sign of civilization I'd seen in miles. I pounded on the glass harder. Suddenly the driver spoke, but it wasn't to me. "She's awake now," he said almost gleefully. My blood ran cold. Who was she? Then he chuckled, a dry, hollow sound that didn't belong to a living person. I leaned back, eyes darting around the car, looking for anything I could use, any way out. That's when I saw it, scratched into the back of the front seat in shaky handwriting. "Don't speak to him. He hears everything." I stopped breathing. How many people had sat where I was sitting? And what had happened to them? My palms were drenched in sweat as I kept staring at that single line carved into the seat. "Don't speak to him. He hears everything." My mind raced. Was it a warning from someone who had been here before me, or someone who never made it out? Outside, the landscape had changed again. The trees now looked dead, branches like claws reaching toward the road. No leaves, no wind, not even the sound of insects. Just silence. A heavy, choking silence. I tried to scream, to tell myself this wasn't real, that it was all some sick nightmare. But everything felt too vivid. The smell of stale air, the dull vibration of the car, the unnatural chill creeping up my spine. Then the humming stopped, and the car slowed down. Without warning, the taxi pulled off the road and into a clearing surrounded by trees. No lights, no signs, just complete blackness beyond the faint glow of the headlights. The engine went silent. The driver finally turned his head toward me, but slowly, as if it took effort. That's when I saw his face clearly, for the first time. It was pale, too pale, like skin stretched over bone. No expression, no warmth. His eyes, if you could call them that, were sunken, dark, and empty, like black holes that pulled at your sanity just by looking into them. But what paralyzed me was his mouth. It didn't move when he spoke again. "You should have stayed home," the voice echoed. But it didn't come from his lips. It came from all around me. From the speakers, from the vents, from inside the car itself. I reached for my phone again, but it was dead now. Not just no signal, completely dead, like the battery had been sucked dry in seconds. My fingers trembled as I looked for the manual lock, praying there was still a way to open the door. That's when I heard it. A tapping sound. Soft, deliberate, from the trunk, then a second tap, louder, closer. I turned in panic and saw the divider glass behind the driver's seat fogging up from the inside, and then slowly a handprint appeared. But it wasn't from my side. It was from within the glass itself. I gasped and pressed back against the door. The tapping grew louder, faster, and then, bang! The trunk burst open. I couldn't see what came out. Just a blur, a shadow. Something inhuman that moved too fast, too wrong. The driver didn't flinch. He simply whispered, "She doesn't like to be ignored." I couldn't move. My body refused to listen. My eyes locked on the rearview mirror again, this time. I wasn't reflected in it either. A soft breathing sound now filled the car. But it wasn't mine. It was behind me. Slow, raspy, and getting closer. I turned my head slowly, as if dragged by an invisible force. And there she was. A girl, no older than 10, but her eyes were black voids, bleeding tears of ink. Her skin was gray and cracked, her mouth stitched closed with rusty wire. Yet I could hear her, inside my head. "Stay," she whispered. "We're so lonely." I screamed. I kicked the window with everything I had, again and again. Finally, the glass cracked. I didn't stop. I kept kicking until it shattered. Cold air rushed in, and I climbed out, tumbling onto the damp ground. I looked back once. The car was gone. Just gone. No engine, no light, no tracks, nothing but darkness, and the faint sound of a girl laughing, echoing through the woods. I ran through the woods, branches slashing at my arms, my legs numb from fear and exhaustion. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to keep moving, away from that clearing, away from her. But the laughter followed, faint, echoing, sometimes from behind me, sometimes from ahead. Like the forest itself was repeating it, mocking me. After what felt like hours, I stumbled onto a dirt road. An old rusted sign lay on the ground, half buried in leaves. It read, "Silver Pine Cemetery, closed since 1996. My heart sank. That name, I'd heard it before. It was near the old highway, abandoned after multiple disappearances. I remembered reading about it in a Reddit thread once. Urban legends, ghost taxis, missing persons. I was now part of that story. Eventually, headlights appeared in the distance. A pickup truck slowed down as it reached me. The driver, a middle-aged man with a worried look, rolled down his window. "Are you all right? What the hell are you doing out here?" I couldn't answer properly. My mouth was dry, throat hoarse. I just mumbled something about a taxi and a little girl. He looked at me like I was delirious, but he let me in. I didn't care what he thought. I just wanted to be around something real. He dropped me off at the nearest gas station, and I managed to call a friend from the landline. I didn't speak much on the ride home. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. Every time I looked into a mirror, I feared I wouldn't see myself. Days passed. Then weeks. Everyone thought I had experienced some kind of breakdown or hallucination. The app had no record of the taxi, no GPS trail, no receipts. It was as if the ride had never existed. I tried to let it go, told myself I was just lucky to be alive. But the twist came later. One night, I was scrolling through my phone gallery, trying to delete old pictures, when I saw a new album I didn't recognize. It was titled Passenger. I opened it. Inside were dozens of photos of me, sleeping, sitting, looking out the window, inside that taxi. And in every single one, visible in the reflection of the glass or the mirror, was her, the little girl, standing just behind me, smiling. That night, I smashed my phone, burned every jacket, every item I wore that night. But it didn't end there. Now, every time I ride alone, bus, train, even walking past parked cars, I sometimes hear it again. That humming, low, cold, familiar. And sometimes I see her, in a reflection, smiling, waiting. Because I escaped once, but she never forgets her passengers.